Crosley Green's wrongful conviction in the murder of Chip Flynn serves as a stark reminder of deep-seated systemic problems within the justice system. This case vividly illustrates how racial bias and inadequate investigative practices can lead to devastating miscarriages of justice. Despite compelling and overwhelming evidence pointing to his innocence, including retracted witness statements and documented instances of prosecutorial misconduct, Green's initial conviction was shockingly reinstated after a brief period of release, a decision that has left his family utterly devastated and struggling to understand the legal process. The tragic wrongful conviction of Crosley Green shines a harsh light on fundamental flaws in the justice system, particularly concerning the intersection of race and the proper handling of evidence. His case, centered around the murder of Chip Flynn, raises serious and troubling questions about potential bias influencing the investigative process from its very inception. The series of events leading up to Chip Flynn's untimely murder were shrouded in suspicious circumstances and built upon questionable testimonies, most notably that of his former girlfriend, Kim HCK. These testimonies suggest a possible manipulation of facts, casting a shadow of doubt over the official narrative. The prolonged and emotionally draining legal battles endured by Crosley Green and his family underscore the profound and often overlooked personal toll that wrongful convictions inflict on individuals and their loved ones. The stress, anxiety, and financial burden associated with fighting for justice in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds are immeasurable. Crosley Green's initial conviction was largely based on a distinct lack of concrete, corroborating evidence and fueled, at least in part, by underlying racial bias. This exemplifies how such insidious factors can unjustly influence legal outcomes and shape public perception, leading to erroneous judgments and the imprisonment of innocent individuals. The investigation into the shooting of Chip Flynn reveals critical and concerning gaps, particularly in the established timeline of events and the accuracy of eyewitness testimony. These inconsistencies raise legitimate questions about the reliability and validity of the information that was initially provided to law enforcement officials. The case's heavy reliance on the testimony of a single witness, Kim H., creates significant and well-founded concerns about the overall validity of the charges brought against Crosley Green. The absence of supporting evidence makes the reliance on this single source particularly problematic. The delayed response of law enforcement personnel and the evident lack of immediate action at the scene highlights the critical importance of timely and effective communication in emergency situations. This delay in response potentially impacted the outcome of Chip's medical condition and underscores the need for swift and decisive action in such circumstances. Kim H's vague directions and her failure to provide clear and concise information to the authorities significantly contributed to the confusion and ambiguity surrounding the incident. This raises serious questions about her overall credibility and reliability as a witness, casting doubt on the accuracy and truthfulness of her statements. Crosley Green's arrest and subsequent trial were heavily predicated on Kim H's testimony, despite the notable absence of any tangible physical evidence directly linking him to the commission of the crime. This overwhelming reliance on the testimony of a single witness, without sufficient corroborating evidence, raises significant and persistent doubts about the fundamental fairness of the prosecution's case against him. Crosley Green's wrongful conviction for kidnapping and murder stands as a stark example of justice miscarried, primarily due to the reliance on unreliable witness testimonies and the overwhelming weight placed on circumstantial evidence. While claims of a confession were central to the prosecution's narrative, significant and crucial pieces of evidence directly contradicted the prosecution's case, weakening its foundation considerably. The witness testimonies that served as the basis for implicating Crosley Green were deeply problematic. Several individuals who testified against him had documented criminal backgrounds, which immediately raises substantial concerns regarding their overall credibility and the potential for bias in their statements. This background information casts a shadow over the veracity of their accounts and strongly suggests the potential for coerced statements being introduced and accepted as truth within the prosecution's case. Furthermore, the account provided by Kim H., the victim's companion, was riddled with inconsistencies. These inconsistencies, appearing throughout her recounting of the events surrounding the crime, seriously cast doubt on the entire narrative presented by the prosecution. Her conflicting stories and shifting recollections highlight the fundamental unreliability of the evidence that was ultimately presented to the jury as conclusive proof of Green's guilt. The lack of consistency severely undermines the prosecution's central argument. Adding to the doubt surrounding the conviction, the shoe prints found at the crime scene, a potentially vital piece of forensic evidence, were never definitively linked to Crosley Green in any meaningful or conclusive way. This failure to establish a direct connection between Green and the crime scene further undermines the prosecution's argument and highlights the fundamentally circumstantial nature of the evidence that was presented and used against him in the trial. Crosley Green's case reflects significant and deeply troubling issues within the broader criminal justice system, particularly concerning the potential influence of racial bias and the presence of serious investigative failures. The manner in which evidence was handled and the selective acceptance of testimonies raise profound questions about the true nature of justice and fairness within the context of this specific case. The trial proceedings highlighted the potential for racial bias to influence the jury's perception. The prosecutor, during the trial, made multiple references to Crosley Green's race, seemingly attempting to influence the jury's perception and potentially swaying them towards a guilty verdict based on prejudice rather than concrete evidence. This repeated emphasis on race raises serious concerns about the fairness and impartiality of the judicial process and whether Green received a truly unbiased hearing. Moreover, investigators demonstrably failed to perform even the most basic and standard procedures that would typically be considered essential in such a serious criminal investigation. For example, investigators neglected to test Kim H. for gunshot residue, a simple yet potentially critical step that could have significantly impacted the outcome of the case by providing crucial insights into the sequence of events. This negligence emphasizes the critical need for thorough, comprehensive, and unbiased investigations in all criminal cases to ensure a fair and just outcome. Eyewitness accounts and the lineup procedures employed in the investigation were also seriously flawed, further weakening the case against Green. Kim H.'s testimony, in particular, lacked credibility due to the numerous contradictions and the overall lack of supporting evidence. This highlights the critical importance of adhering to proper protocols and standards when conducting eyewitness identification procedures to ensure accurate and reliable identification of suspects. Proper protocols are essential for accurate identification in such cases, and their absence raises serious questions about the integrity of the process. Ultimately, Crosley Green's conviction raises profound and deep-seated concerns about the reliability of witness testimony and the adequacy of the evidence that was used against him in court. The fact that witnesses have since recanted their original testimonies, combined with the notable lack of definitive physical evidence linking him to the crime, casts a significant and substantial doubt on the validity of his conviction and, indeed, on his guilt. The mitochondrial DNA evidence that was presented in Crosley Green's case also presents significant problems for the prosecution. This type of DNA evidence cannot conclusively identify Crosley Green as the perpetrator. It only indicates a broad genetic relationship, providing limited, if any, specific identification. This limitation highlights inherent flaws in the prosecution's arguments and demonstrates the reliance on circumstantial evidence to paint a narrative of guilt rather than providing definitive proof. This type of DNA only indicates broad. The case of Crosley Green is deeply entwined with the profound impact it has had on his familial relations. Perhaps one of the most striking elements of the legal battle has been the recantation of statements by witnesses who initially testified against him. Such reversals are uncommon in legal proceedings, and their occurrence in this case inevitably casts a shadow of doubt upon the veracity and ethical underpinnings of their original testimonies. This development substantially contributes to the multifaceted complexity of the entire case, adding layers of uncertainty and questioning the reliability of the evidence presented. Beyond the legal intricacies, the emotional toll exacted upon Crosley Green's family due to his wrongful conviction has been immense and far-reaching. Their lives have been irrevocably and significantly altered, particularly the lives of his children, who were forced to navigate their formative years without the constant presence and guidance of their father. The family dynamics underwent a dramatic and painful shift during his prolonged absence, leaving an indelible mark on their relationships and sense of stability. A pivotal moment in the case arrived when Crosley Green's conviction was overturned. This reversal stemmed directly from the revelation that prosecutors had deliberately withheld crucial evidence, an act that constitutes a serious and blatant violation of his fundamental right to a fair trial. This long-awaited revelation, shining a light on the prosecutorial misconduct, ultimately paved the way for his eventual release from prison after enduring years of unjust and wrongful imprisonment. The suppressed or hidden notes, which played a central role in the overturning of the conviction, contained significant inconsistencies in the statements provided by various witnesses. These discrepancies, had they been brought to light during the original trial, could have profoundly impacted the trial's outcome, potentially altering the course of justice. The intentional suppression of these crucial notes has understandably raised serious and valid concerns regarding the integrity and fairness of the entire judicial process in this case. During his time spent incarcerated, Crosley Green faced a number of serious health challenges, further compounding his already difficult circumstances. Notably, he received a diagnosis of latent tuberculosis, a condition that demanded prompt and careful medical attention. This health crisis added a sense of urgency and increased pressure to his legal team's already strenuous efforts to secure his release from prison and ensure he received the necessary medical care. Upon his release from prison, Crosley was greeted with an outpouring of love and support from a large and eager family, who were yearning to reconnect and offer him unwavering support after the long and painful years of separation. However, despite this joyous reunion, his newfound freedom was still significantly restricted by the imposition of stringent probation conditions, which limited his movements and activities. The roller coaster of legal proceedings took another devastating turn when Crosley Green's conviction was reinstated following the Supreme Court's decision to refuse to hear his case. This denial effectively left him with no remaining legal avenues of appeal and forced him to face the daunting prospect of returning to prison. This outcome has had a profoundly negative impact on his family, once again plunging them into a state of emotional turmoil and vividly illustrating the profound impact of a flawed and unjust legal system on the lives of ordinary people. The emotional fallout resulting from Crosley's impending return to prison has been nothing short of devastating for his family. They are grappling with intense feelings of anger, frustration, and profound sadness over the palpable injustice that he continues to face. His sister, in particular, has voiced her utter disbelief and dismay about the fact that he is being subjected to ongoing suffering and hardship despite the evidence suggesting his innocence. Despite the overwhelmingly difficult and disheartening circumstances surrounding his case, Crosley has consistently maintained a remarkably hopeful demeanor, serving as a source of strength and inspiration to those around him. He has repeatedly emphasized the importance of his faith and resilience as he prepares to confront the very real possibility of imprisonment once again. He has also actively encouraged his family to remain strong, united, and supportive of one another throughout this challenging period. During the period of time that he was able to spend at home, Crosley actively worked to rebuild his life and create meaningful connections with those around him. He was able to establish a romantic relationship, leading to his engagement, and also secured a fulfilling job, demonstrating his remarkable ability to find joy and purpose in life even amidst the most trying of circumstances. His consistently positive attitude and infectious optimism earned him the endearing nickname PP among his coworkers, a testament to his enduring spirit and ability to inspire those around him.